In a lot of my recipes, you've probably noticed I use clarified butter, or in Arabic we call it Samneh. Now, a lot of you have asked me, how exactly do you make it? Because I do make it at home. So today, I'm going to show you how to achieve the perfect Samneh and all the tips and tricks that I use to make this at home. So for the process of making Samneh or clarified butter, you can use those two words interchangeably. I'm going to start with the best ingredient, or the essential ingredient is pure butter. Each block I have in front of me is 450 grams, or 2 cups. So if you think 2, 4, 6, so I have the equivalent of 6 cups of unsalted butter. Now what you have to remember is you need a pot that's going to be big enough to accommodate the melting of all this butter. So you need something that is high-sided and something that isn't going to bubble over, because there's going to be a lot of foam. So I start by placing my butter inside the pot, and I haven't turned the heat on yet. Okay, so that's one, that's my second one, and here's my third. Okay, and basically that's it. What you need to do to achieve clarified butter or Samneh is that this one ingredient, and it requires heat and time. So we're going to start with the heat, and I'm going to turn it on and about medium, just so that the butter starts to melt. So as you can see in the pot, it is bubbling very gently because I have it on medium heat. All of the butter has melted, and now it's turned back to liquid. So what I'm waiting for right now is for basically the time for the milk solids to separate from the actual fat that's in butter. And that's what we're after. We want the pure butter fat without the milk solids, which will eventually go to the bottom. And some of the milk solids will float to the top in foam, and I have my strainer here ready to start skimming them off. And there's also a percentage of water that's also going to bubble away and evaporate. So we are removing everything that would otherwise spoil butter. And clarifying it this way is going to ensure that the pure clarified butter that comes out of it, it's going to last longer. So we just need a little bit more patience, and it's going to be worth it. So in a span of 5 minutes, this is where we are right now with the butter. You can see on the surface the foam, the milk solids that are floating to the top. This is where I get my strainer and just skim off the foam, some of the foam, and just place it in a glass. This is something that we're going to discard. Now, the old technique of making clarified butter, especially in the Eastern cultures, like in the Arab world, we would make Samneh. A lot of people think that you have to add something to the butter to actually help it remove the milk solids, where really there's no need to add anything. And what I'm talking about additions is, in the past, my mother used to share these stories with me. They would put like a burghul or flour, some kind of a grain, and let it boil along with the butter so that it absorbs the milk solids. And it does work. I mean, you can put it in, but really it's not necessary at all. Like I said, all you need is just the heat, which we have, and some patience, just a little bit of time, and let it really do its work. I mean, this is science at work. This is my lab, my kitchen. And all we're going to do is just watch it carefully. Don't go anywhere, okay? Don't leave it unattended, and just watch the process of how this beautiful butter, where it first started, is going to transform into clarified butter. And in the ongoing process in my chemistry lab here, you can see there's been a change. A lot of the foam has been removed, and I'm still skimming off little bits. But the process of the separation here from the butter fat and the water is happening, and you see all the bubbles that are coming to the surface. That's the water that's evaporating. And slowly but surely, there's going to be a clarity here where the butter fat is going to be the majority of what's in the pot, and it'll be almost like pure oil, like it'll actually be clear. Right now it's still a little foggy, but the process, we're getting closer and closer to what we're after, and that is the Samneh, or the clarified butter. Okay, this is so exciting. I never tire of making clarified butter. Look at what's happened now. You can see from the side of this pot and from the top. Now my Samneh, or clarified butter, and I just want to show you just by pouring it. Look at it, is like oil. All the milk solids, some of them I've removed in foam, and the rest of the milk solids have actually settled to the bottom, and they will stay down there, okay, and allow, of course, the pure butter fat to come to the top. And these are just the remaining bits of water bubbles that are going to evaporate. Now, I am comfortable that I can actually turn this off right now and allow it to cool, and I've achieved what I wanted, and that is the clarified butter. Now, I can continue to let this simmer a little bit longer, and what happens is those milk solids at the bottom will actually get a little browner, and they will toast, and they will flavor the butter and make it almost nutty. And that would be like brown butter. And that is also delicious, and it imparts a special flavor to things that you bake and cook. But I don't want it to go any further than this, so I'm going to actually turn off my heat right now and allow my clarified butter to cool completely before I pour it through a sieve and store it. I waited till it was cool, and I poured it through a sieve. And I just want to show you, before I show you the final product, here in the pot, the residue, or the milk solids that I was talking about before, that have all settled to the bottom. Okay, those are the little pieces of milk, or milk solids, that went down. So I didn't need to add anything to make that happen. That just happened because it's just chemistry. It's pure science. All right, so that is finished, and I poured it through a sieve so that I caught any milk solids, because I want it to be pure. I don't want anything to fog up my liquid gold. It's what I like to call this. So this is what I got. Now, you remember I started off with the 3 blocks of butter. I told you that there's going to be some loss, obviously. So you can expect anywhere between 20 to 30% of the milk solids in the water to be part of that weight that's gone. So now we're left with exactly, and I measured it, 4 cups. Okay, so I have 4 cups of pure clarified butter, or in Arabic, we call it Samneh. It's also known as ghee. And I tell you, it is the best thing to cook with. Now, long ago, the reason why people used to make Samneh out of beautiful butter, and of course, butter is beautiful. Why? Because it has the milk solids in it. It's not just pure fat. That's what makes butter special. But when you want butter to last longer, which is the reason why people would make clarified butter, when you take out the milk solids, all the things that would otherwise spoil in butter are gone. So this beautiful liquid gold now can sit on your counter at room temperature for months. Nothing will happen to it. And if you want it to last even longer, you put it in an airtight container and keep it in your refrigerator, and it'll keep for a year. Okay? I know, because I do that all the time. So what I do is, after I've poured it in here, I have my own little container that I like to preserve it in, and I just pour my beautiful clarified butter. Now you see it's liquid right now. It looks like beautiful olive oil. But what happens as it cools completely and remains at room temperature, this butter fat is going to solidify, and it's going to look like, remember the first bowl I showed you? This is what the clarified butter will look like eventually. It'll be almost like a paste. Now you wonder, what do I do with clarified butter? Why make it? Well, a lot of the Arabic desserts that we make in the Arab world require clarified butter because It gives a completely different texture and a different flavor, and it also allows these pastries and cookies that we make, like baklava is the famous one, to last even longer. And it just has a unique taste. Now, you can use it in sweet form or you can use it in savory. I use it to saute vegetables when I'm cooking. You'll see in a lot of my recipes I use Samneh. And I also use it because when you do clarify it, what happens is the smoking point becomes higher. So less likely to burn when you use this rather than using butter, where the milk solids are going to burn instantly. So this eliminates that problem. So savory or sweet, that's what you use clarified butter for. One thing I just want to add, and again, I'm trying to answer the questions that I'm often asked about this. You never start with anything but butter to make clarified butter. People will ask me, can I use margarine? Can I use Crisco? And I say, absolutely not. Margarine is not butter, and nothing is going to change it by heating it or whatever you do with it is going to make it into clarified butter. So you have to start with the real deal to get the real deal. So now that you have all the secrets and tips in how to make clarified butter, or in Arabic, Samneh, I urge you to try it. It's easy. As you saw, there's nothing complicated here. And if you haven't tried frying an egg in clarified butter, it's to die for. It is something else. It's delicious with pure butter or olive oil, but try it with Samneh next time you do fry an egg, and I'll tell you from now, you're welcome. So let me know how you get along and send me any questions in the comments. So now I'm going to put away my clarified butter. I'm going to cover it and wait for it to solidify, and then I'm done.